Hello and good day. In this video, I am going to annotate the poem entitled Sagada Steals in a Floating World by Marjorie Evasco, a writer and one of the earliest Filipina feminist poets. In this ever-changing world, Sagada still remains with its beauty and has been fleeting from the hustle and bustle of life. The poem was written to capture and preserve things so they won't be forgotten, just like the beauty of Sagada. It is a poem that, based on its title, truly floats. There is a whole universe of meanings. Graphological deviation is the departure from conventional writing and typography techniques where rules of academic writing are neglected and which refers to the visual characteristics of the writing that may contribute to the overall aesthetic and emotional tone of the poem. These variations could be seen as an expression of the writer's creativity, emphasizing certain concepts or ideas. As you can see, the structure of the poem is unconventional or a free verse. Based on my research, it can be read in many ways and in any way the reader wants. It is not structured like the ordinary poem that you can read by verse or you can see that's organized by stanza. It was structured like the hanging coffin in the Echo Valley because in that way, it can help preserve the beauty and cherished memories of Sagada. Allow me to read the poem in a way that I have organized it to the hanging coffin. If with images, I could catch on photographic film a likeness of you in Sagada. I would have to sit 1,000 years with master of austere light atmosphere to learn the process of rendering silence. If with words you could catch on silk paper a likeness of me in Sagada, you would have to sit 1,000 years with master of austere measures Kibo to learn the process of staining sound. The left text represents images, photographic film, silence, and light in photography, while on the right side represents words, silk paper, sound, and the writing. The middle part of the poem represents the common ground where the left and the right side can use it to follow the flow and finish reading the poem. The only punctuation used is a period. The irregular spacing and line breaks indicate a certain artistic or poetic intent. The consistency of capitalization of letters in the poem is not also applied since some words or specific phrases of the poem start with capital letter to give emphasis or to create a sense of visual movement or rhythm. As you can observe in the poem, it is written in short and simple words or phrases but convey a deeper and more meaningful meaning. The poem appears to explore the idea of capturing the essence of a person or an experience through different mediums such as photography and words. The tone of the poem is mellow and it tries to show that the writer is amazed and fascinated by the beauty of Sagada. The poem exhibits a stylistic variation between two contrasting modes of expression. One that relies on visual imagery. If with images, I could catch on photographic film a likeness of you. And another that utilizes verbal representation. If with words, you could catch on silk paper a likeness of me. The poem also contrasts different mediums or materials such as photographic film and silk paper and the contrast between silence and sound. The point of view of this poem appears to be first person, with the speaker addressing another person directly using the pronouns I and you. The poem seems to express the thoughts and feelings of the speaker as they contemplate the possibility of capturing likeness and understanding one another. The poem employs a contrasting elements to convey the dual nature of Sagada's existence. The juxtaposition of stills and floating world in the title sets the tone for contrasting themes throughout the poem. Evasco explores the connections between permanence and impermanence, rootedness and transience, and the physical and spiritual realms. Her poetry is mostly inspired from stories of people and art. Since Sagada is mentioned as the setting or subject of the poem, it likely represents more than just a physical location. It might symbolize a place of introspection, self discovery, or emotional connection. Sagada could evoke a sense of nostalgia, memories, or personal experiences that shape the identities of I and you in the poem. The poem pattern symbolizes the hanging coffin in the Echo Valley. The locals hang coffins on the side of the cliff because they believe that the higher the coffins are, the closer they are to heaven. The poem was organized like the hanging coffin so that whenever the people can read this poem, they will be able to realize and appreciate the beauty of Sagada and the uniqueness of this poem. Master of austere means to be strict or specific in matter, attitude, or appearance. In the left side, it refers to be skilled or master in terms of light or photography, just like Eduardo Masfier, who is also known as the father of Philippine photography and who was born in Sagada. The allusion of Masfier is someone who is very familiar with the area, the way of living with its people and their culture. He also alludes a person who wants and is eager to show the beauty of Sagada. The focus of his works are the indigenous people in the Cordillera, and that includes the place Sagada, since it is a town in the Cordillera Mountains within the Philippines Mountain Province. Furthermore, in the right side, it refers to be master in terms of measuring and composing and in writing a piece. Just like Murasaki Shikibu, an influential Japanese author who is associated with literary excellence. The allusion to Shikibu emphasizes the power of storytelling and literature in conveying emotions, experiences, and human connections. These style variations add depth and cultural references to the poem, connecting it to broader artistic and historical context. The part where it says, to sit 1,000 years with master of austere implies that true understanding and appreciation of the silence and sound in Sagada may take time and it can only be achieved through dedicated observation, patience, and a deep connection with the place and its people. Epithet is simply a descriptive word or phrase expressing a quality characteristic of the person or thing mentioned. Therefore, I have considered the phrases Master of Austere Light, which describes Masphere, and Master of Austere Measure, which refers to Shikibo in the poem. Lexical collocation refers to the regular and predictable way in which words tend to occur together in a language. It refers to the natural pairing or combination of words that commonly appear together due to their semantic or grammatical relationship. The phrases rendering silence, staining sounds, photographic film, silk paper, and 1,000 years can be considered as lexical collocations. Rendering silence. This phrase collocates because rendering, meaning to depict or represent, is frequently used with silence to describe the act of capturing or expressing silence in a particular way. Staining sounds. The word staining collocates with sounds to suggest the idea of imbuing or coloring sounds, often implying an emotional or artistic aspect. Photographic film. Photographic and film are closely associated. forming a standard collocation when discussing traditional photography or filmmaking. Silk paper. Silk and paper frequently go together in a collocation describing a specific type of paper that has the smooth and luxurious texture of silk. Thousand years. The phrase thousand years is an idiomatic collocation used to signify a very long period of time. Evasco's words suggest that the silence of Sagada is not simply an absence of sound, but a profound presence in itself. It is something that can be felt and experienced, but is difficult to convey through visual representation alone. The overall message of the poem seems to revolve around the challenges and beauty of understanding ourselves and others, as well as the timeless and profound nature of human connection. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something.